boasts of the people who attacked Michael, but they're also hearing some conscience-stricken people who were appalled by the events of the night in question.
Now, we're not reconstructing this case because so much is already in the public domain, and your advice is that most people who might phone us already know a fair bit. There'll be people who are on the W6 bus, which is probably the bus that Michael took from Southgate, arrived in Silver Street. There were apparently a lot of people around in Silver Street, even though it was 1 o'clock in the morning. They might have seen something. Your main target, of course, apart from them, is people who've heard rumours.
People who've heard, well, more than rumours. We know people are talking about it. We know people have significantly talked about it in the last couple of days. We know the people that we're interested in are being spoken to by these criminals. We need those people to come forward. In particular, bits of the jigsaw puzzle are now beginning to come together. Things that were said much earlier in the inquiry now have much more significance for us. For instance, there's a couple of anonymous calls early on. We need that person to get back in touch with us. It fits in very significantly with the appeal that we're making tonight. So there were people innocently abroad that night around the phone box, but there were people involved in the crime and probably less involved and horrified by the turn events took place. Now, this could have been a horrendous attempt at humour that went badly wrong.
You see, that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if 1, 2 or even 3 of these 3 or 4 people actually had never intended this should finish up with murder, but are still frightened about calling you tonight because of their involvement in what led up to it.
No, they should get in touch. The significant thing is here is that this family is not going to give up. We're not going to give up. Crimewatch has a fantastic track record of success, and I'm certainly not giving up on this one.
Can I just mention one thing which hasn't really been published up to now? You're pretty sure the accelerant was a can like this. This is probably something like WD-40. You're very keen, too, to find anybody who was, as a prank, spraying people with something like this, and indeed who sold this. Yes. 2 years ago in the Northland.
And has had it sprayed to them. This wouldn't have been an isolated incident. Have you been sprayed with material and then wondered what that was all about, accompanied by horrendous racial abuse without realising that that was accelerant? Have you been threatened with a lighter? You know, this has got to be part of a series of events. Were you sprayed with this material on the night in question? Much more interestingly for me, if you've got a computerised till roll and you sell this sort of motor oil or other sorts of propellants, have you still got the till rolls? Have your accountants still got the till rolls? We'll be there to see you. Get in touch with us.
Not giving up on it.
Essie, you've heard that the police say now they're not going to give up. 2 years on, how encouraged are you that something significant might come out of the result of the Crimewatch tonight?
Well, this is a very important time for our family. It is 2 years since Michael was attacked, burned and killed in this way. And we know that we are going to catch the people who did this to him. They're talking about it. So a lot more people know who those people are. Those people will be watching this programme, they'll be watching our appeals, they'll be watching the poster campaigns. They're wondering what to do, and they have to phone in. They have to give us all the information they know. There's a suggestion that perhaps one or more of the party weren't so involved. If they really were horrified, if they're making anonymous calls, they've got to follow it through. We are going to catch them, so they have to get in touch with us. They have to give us the information, because we're not going to stop until this is brought to closure.
Essie, Kwesi, thank you both very much for coming in tonight. Thank you.
Please don't hesitate if you've got any suspicions at all. Our number in the studio is 0500 600 600. The instant room is on 0171 230 4374. That's 0171 230 4374.
Just heard a recording of the voice. His name's Michael Sams. I used to be married to him.
Can you give me your name, please?
Susan Oak.
Every fear you've ever felt in your life, everything just hits you at once.
Have you got the money?
Who's this, please?
Never mind. Have you got the money?
He said, never mind, and that's when it hit me. I knew those 2 words, that was mine. I was frightened for my children. Even when I was dialing the number, I was frightened for them. It's an awful thing to live with, that the dad has done all these dreadful things. But again, my children astound me. I'm just so proud of them because they've just coped so wonderfully, and together we faced everything, you know, all the publicity and to be in the media spotlight. I know that if I hadn't run Crimewatch, I would have always been known as Mike Sam's ex-wife, grudgingly. But now I'm known as Mike Sam's ex-wife. But I'm looked up to. I would say to somebody, don't hesitate in ringing in, because say if anything else happened and it was that person, you'd never forgive yourself. A young girl died in the midst of this, and I never ever forget that. So I feel it's my duty to help as much as I can to compensate for Julie's death. Nothing can compensate for Julie's death. But if I can do my bit to encourage somebody else to ring in, then I will do.
Tonight, the big manhunt in South Wales for the serial attacker who turns on old people with indescribable savagery.
My name's Eric Williams. I'm a police officer. I'm working with the West Mercia Constabulary. In Worcester, I was actually a custody sergeant in the police station when Salter was arrested 2 or 3 years previously.
Just calm down and just listen to
you fat English bastard!
I phoned the incident room in South Wales. I gave them all of his personal details, told them that I thought that he would be a good suspect.
Yeah, he was drunk, acting suspiciously round that old folks complex.
He'd obviously previously been doing something of a similar nature in Worcester years before, but obviously not to the violent degree that he'd been doing it in South Wales. I do appreciate it must be much more difficult in some people's personal domestic circumstances where they feel they may have information about people they know and perhaps even their family and loved ones. But it is important that these people are caught and that we use as much information as we can.
Well, last month, 948 people like Susan Oak rang us with information. As a result, apart from the arrest and the multiple rape cases we told you, an escaped drugs trafficker was picked up and the man found at Loch Lomond was identified.
2 men have been charged with murder and one with conspiracy to commit burglary in connection with John Nutter's death during a violent theft at his home. Another man has been convicted for robbery in Northamptonshire after a reconstruction we showed last February. And from last March, a horrible case in which 3 children were assaulted. A man has been convicted of rape and of endangering life. 5 Crimewatch callers named the man, who was already known to the police.
4 other cases have also led to arrests independent of Crimewatch. 5 arrests on the armed robbery in Staffordshire, 1 on the robberies in West London, 1 for drug dealing, and a man has been charged with the murder of the Norfolk schoolboy Thomas Marshall.
Who wants to be a quarter millionaire? Here's a cheque for £150,000 to be provided if you help secure the convictions of an armed gang, and here's another one for £100,000 if you can also recover what they stole. Why such a colossal reward? Well, security firms have had variable relationships with Crimewatch, sometimes keen, sometimes anxious to play down security breaches. But now a group of companies has joined together and said enough crime is enough. The trigger was the case you're about to see, the biggest ever cash robbery in Scotland. Eight weeks ago, in the oil capital of Britain, Aberdeen. 2 miles south of the harbour at Alton's industrial estate.
Basically, I thought they were up to something. A van parked at the side of the road, that time of night, very quiet, all huddled up with dark clothing. He was about 5'8", wasn't a scruffy looking man. Had a moustache, came down over his lips.
Next afternoon, a Thursday, on the old coast road, 2 minutes from the estate, and a similar white van.
He wouldn't let me past. There was nothing I could do about it. I couldn't get past. He obviously didn't know where he was going. Slowing down, accelerating. He looked straight at me. No expression on his face whatsoever. He looked like Tosh from The Bill. Was very red complexion. He looked like he'd had a good night in the town. Unshaven, dark, very untidy hair.
Back on the industrial estate, where a security company has a depot for its cash-in-transit vans.
The staff I've got are very loyal, and I'm probably the father figure, and we work as a family rather than as a business. You know, and we go on well together.